All right, welcome to a Sunday night prep edition of Grow Your Money DIY. Gonna prep for what might happen this week with Opendoor Technologies and going over very importantly what happened last week. I was definitely stressing myself. I was about 5 cents away from getting stopped out from this trade. Um, and that's what you got to be prepared for. If it happens, it happens. If not, you keep going along for the ride. So if you see where I got my level set here, I think it hit 395 on 827. So that was very good to see. Once it did hit that, it bounced back around the 420 level, going into the close and the next morning. So that's definitely what you want to see when it comes so close. Because remember, before we were at the $3 support and it was holding that well. So this shows progress that we're actually at the $4 support. And it's actually holding well. And more importantly, that after it hit this 395, it bounced back to 420 and it kind of traded sideways the rest of the week, consolidating up, testing $5 again, but then getting rejected. So my trading plan is still the same. If it breaks this 390 where I got my stop loss, that means it wants to go lower, or not that it could possibly head back down to $3, because you got to follow the momentum and whether you want to let your stop loss hit or, but of course all of us have different entry points and what we're willing to risk. I'm only willing to risk a small percentage because that's how you survive in trading, and just be more prepared to follow if it has a big run. So that 395, my stop loss is still at 390. I really believe it could, if it breaks that, head back down to $3, which that'd be a great place to rebuy it, especially if it showed bottom there. It started setting lower lows and higher highs. That's where I would easily get back in again and have a much lower risk. So, and that's what you gotta kind of have to think about if you're letting it hit your stop loss, and just be prepared to follow it and see where it wants to bottom to the next level. Because if you don't, then you're down a whole nother dollar. If the big shareholders want to let it drop that far. And to go into the headlines of what it actually, why it might gain interest this week, and what I'm looking for on the open is actually 33 million in volume at the open. If it does that, there's a very low chance it would actually even test $3 again, or $4. Strong chance it would start the month and the week strong. Another reason why Friday was weak, because a lot of this is just how, with options in play, a lot of stocks end the month weak, and they could easily start strong, even though this is September, which is traditionally a weak month. But at the same time, there was actually a journal in the Wall Street Journal this weekend, an article about Opendoor, which, that's the perfect time. You got investors and, big and small reading that and definitely taking a look at it Monday morning when it opens, or even Sunday night tonight. It's going to open in a few hours for overnight trading. So that was a good, something that could actually help start the week strong, is the article in the Wall Street Journal. Also, something to look for this week is Eric Jackson. Looks like he's trying to get a meeting with the board at Opendoor, and he's actually trying to join the board at Opendoor. So if he actually did get the meeting, or they announced he was, got a board seat, that would be pretty huge. It could definitely send it to break the $5 or more level. And also JPMorgan added it to their list of favorite retail stocks. So that is, just something else to possibly give it ammo to have a good week this week. And so we went over this chart. That's what you want to look for if you want to decide if you want to go down with the ship or just rebuy at a lower level. The other thing I want to show you real quick is something we were talking about last week. Is the interim CEO, I can't even say his name, Radkarishna Shrisha, probably said that horribly, actually just bought 30,000 shares, which is bullish, but not as bullish. Okay, it's bullish compared to, you look at all this other, it's just a sea of red for the last couple of years. Most notably, Carrie Wheeler, all she's been doing is dumping her shares. Millions of shares that she got in stock options the last couple of years. So I'm pretty sure, it wasn't too tough a decision for them to let her go. All she was doing was dumping on shareholders because she couldn't make the progress with the company that she needed to. So we finally have a buy transaction from the interim CEO, which is 30,000 shares, which is only 128,000. In the grand scheme of things, he actually has over 4 million shares. So 30,000 isn't a whole lot, but it actually shows that he's invested in actually trying to get the company to turn around. And they actually canceled the executive buy plan, which is significant because it's basically shows that, instead of they have a buy plan to dump more of their shares, it shows they actually canceled it because they possibly see something going on with the company already that could make the share price go up. Hopefully, outside of just the meme open army trend, hopefully something significant changes within the company that can move the needle. But the fact that they canceled that plan and that he put his money where his mouth is and bought 30,000 shares at 428, I think his average volume, I think he bought 428 and 441. So just keep that in mind, especially if you're riding this on the way up. If that's around where his average is, although with this many shares, it's probably much lower. Once it gets a significant pop, that's definitely where people can definitely start taking profits, especially if this goes from $4.50 to $10 and you have 4 million shares. As a president, especially if he remains the president, he probably wouldn't sell just to keep the momentum going and shareholder belief. But that could change if he is only the interim CEO and actually hire somebody else as the actual CEO for long term. And of course, if they get Travis from Uber, the former Uber CEO, I guess they're really gunning for, or at least Eric Jackson is. No word on what the board actually thinks of who should run the company, but I'm sure they're actively searching now, and we'll see what happens with that. But just to bring it back home, this week, the thing to watch is if Eric Jackson gets the meeting with Opendoor execs, and if he actually gets a board seat, and most importantly, if it breaks the 395 support level. So, hope this gives you some kind of direction, especially if you're new to trading and you weren't around last time we had all these meme stocks in play. It's great to ride a momentum, but at the same time, keep yourself safe. That's why I'm posting this. And if you actually watch this to the end, please help me by subscribing, because if I get 15 more subscribers, I can actually start going live to do just live analysis or updates, especially when I see something significant coming out that that nobody's posting about yet. I've really been tracking this a lot, as you can tell. I really see potential, at least short term, to make a significant earning off of this. So yeah, good luck everybody this week. And if I see something else that's video worthy, I will make another one and share that as well. All right, have a good week.